Hello, going to do a little bit of bench pressing, see where I am with that, and then just have a quick talk about where I am with my attempts to get better at lifting at 50 years of age, because I hope to get a few new PRs before the end of the year. Not much time left. Put the microphone right where the bar needs to be, just as I did last time. Right, I think that was 5. The point of this is to see how I handle 87. This is 77, which was my working weight, and I got to doing 5 sets of 5 at 77 and then went up to 87 a bit early compared to the way I sometimes do things. Previously I would try to get to doing 3 sets of 7 before going up, but I've been pushing at 87 on the bench press and 120 on the squat. I'm handling 120 on the squat fairly well. I've actually done a few 4s, but generally I can handle 3, and that's not too bad. Now, I know that's not necessarily the best way to go about increasing your strength, and I might do better to do a slightly higher volume with 110 kilos before going up to 120, but I've just decided to try to do it this way: 120 with a squat, 87 on the bench press. Partly because I was being a bit more reserved before, but partly because I'm in a hurry to try to get a bit of strength before it's too late, before I can't build much muscle mass or gain much strength. And as I often say, I do sometimes follow the advice of Eric Bugenhagen, and he does say sometimes lift the heaviest weight you can as often as you can. That's not all he says. If you just heard that, you'd think it's really silly. He says a lot of other things, but that's another way of trying if you want to increase weight. It's going okay with the squats. With the bench press, it's a different matter. If I go back, this is in September, I couldn't find it because I was looking in the wrong place. I did 4 sets at 3 of 87 at one point. Then I had a bit of a deload. I had a week of doing hardly anything. That's with weights. I still do other stuff. And then for 2 more weeks, a bit longer than I planned, I only did 1 lifting session a week where I did a whole body session. The first one was sets of 35 with just a bar. Then I went up by about 20 kilos. So for example, 27 kilos to start with, to do 35, and then I'd go to 47 and just do 15. And that was, I was being lazy, I was having a rest, and I wasn't working optimally, but I was keeping things moving. Then the next week I did a little bit more. I did similar, but actually went to the top. So I did 87, up to 87 on the bench press. I could only handle 2. With a squat, went up to 120, not such a problem, could still handle that. Then I started a program again, I'm 3 weeks into. And when I first did the bench pressing at 87, I don't know what happened. Maybe I'd been a little bit unwell. I didn't expect this. I could only do 1 at 87. And I did 5 sets of 1. That's not all I did. I then did a drop set at 77 and at 67. I know that that kind of low volume isn't the right way to go about things. Didn't get so bad with a squat. I could handle 120. I've only done a few 4s actually. I haven't done a 5 yet. This is towards me trying to beat my current PR of 140 kilos on the squat. When I did the 140, I am pretty sure I was only doing sets of 2 at 120. My working weight was 110, and then I'll do a couple at 110, a couple at 120, then go on to the 140. I'm maybe stopping at 130 depending on the day. So it looks promising. I can handle more than I could before, and I think when I try to, I'm pretty sure I'll make 145. I hope I'll make 150. I had hopes of trying to get 20 kilos on this year. That was a bit too much for me. So if things go to plan, I'll get 10 kilos on the squat. Bench press, don't know so much. I've done 92. I've done a slow 97 on camera. I sort of count it as, I don't know. It's 97 really. I don't like to err towards myself and increasing the weights. I like to be conservative in that way. But I'm bench pressing worse. In a minute, see if I can do 3 at 87. If I can, good, and I'm getting better again. I just mentioned I had 1 week I could only do singles, then the week afterwards I did 2s, and we'll see what happens today. Pull-ups, it's also bad news. On camera, and this is one of the useful things, when you start filming yourself, you know for sure what you can do and what you have achieved. And I've done a 7 and an 8. 7 like this and an 8 like this. And I've gone right back to struggling to do 5. Is it because of that slight deload? Although I had a week between squats and bench pressing then, I didn't have quite that long without doing the pull-ups. I was trying to do sets here and there anyway. But I have gone back a bit with pull-ups. A couple of days I find out where I am now. I'm not very hopeful with pull-ups, but I'm going to keep trying. Should talk about a slight change of approach. I used to do as many as I possibly could each session, once a week. I'll talk about weekly or not in a minute. And now I try to do fewer. Sometimes I would do 8 sets of each type. I think once or twice I even did more than that. And I'd end up doing 2s and 1s. Now I try to, this is advice you'll find in a few YouTube videos, I try to just do straight sets. So it's probably better to do 4 sets of 4 than it is to do a 6, a 5, a 3 and a 2. And I can do 4s consistently, even if I'm not feeling that good that day. 5s fairly consistently, but I've never done more than a couple of 6s. Now I try to have 2 days, so I actually have a brief pull-up day before what used to be my day 1, which was squat. Now it's a day just doing pull-ups, bit of a warm-up, nothing else. Then I squat, next day bench press, next day pull-ups with accessories, shoulder raise, row, and sometimes shrug, sometimes other things in there, and curl. And then day 5 now is deadlifting, overhead press, and sometimes sit-ups, things like that. So I'm increasing frequency with only a slight volume increase. I've doubled the amount of days on which I'm doing pull-ups, but I'm not doing twice as many, whereas I might have done, 9 was extreme, often 5 of each. I might just do 4 of each now. I had another problem with pull-ups though. I think I had a bit of an injury. Perhaps it's from trying to do 87 kilos on the bench press. Well, I'm not very good at it. Something quite deep in the back, and I found for a while I had to do a couple of singles before I could even do a set of 5, and that was new. I think that's going away now, so I hope to do better. So summarise, pull-ups not too good, squats it's looking good, bench press we'll find out in a minute, deadlift, here's the good news for me, it's absolutely brilliant. My injury on the left hand side, which is one I caused quite a few years ago now, and it came back. I could handle deadlifting up to 120 kilos easily without disturbing it, but at 140 it'd get a bit dodgy, and at 150 I definitely disturbed it, and I did 170 my PR, and that hurt a bit. Well, that injury's completely gone. I haven't deadlifted above 90 kilos for quite some time. I said in a previous video, wouldn't do it for 3 months, and I'm sticking to that. Not always easy to. I am sure I could do 120 right now. I think I could do 140 right now. As you'll know if you've been watching some of my Lifting at 50 series, I was deadlifting with pretty straight legs. Sometimes doing a set, I'd start dropping my hips and knees a little bit more, but I was, especially if I was doing a single with a heavyweight, I was doing almost a straight legged deadlift, hips too high, and I know that you're supposed to have this sort of position, and I would be like this, and I'd know that you're supposed to raise your head up, and I tried to do it, I couldn't do it because my chest was too far forward. It helped to have people give me advice and to see for myself exactly what it was like. I have a mirror here for when I'm squatting. Don't really need to look at yourself bench pressing, I think. With deadlifting over there, I had nothing to look at, so I didn't know quite how bad it was. But the injuries are fine at the moment. The old one still gives me a little bit of trouble in the cold. It's a dull throb, but any disturbance, any worsening of it through my deadlifting earlier this year is completely gone. Really happy about that. And I've been deadlifting again, just up to 90 kilos. That seems absolutely pathetic. That's not even my body weight. But I've got to get used to having the hips lower and using the knees more, being further back. And even I found, rather than just pull up, it probably helps me fix my position to feel that I'm pulling back a little bit when I do it. I know not to go too far. There was that man doing 470 at the Giants Live as if I'll ever get to any, even 270 at the Giants Live. And he did fall over backwards with a really big weight. Didn't injure himself, fortunately. But it's going well with deadlifting. I won't try a PR before the end of the year. I'll probably just get up to 140 again. We'll see. I'm doing it really, really slowly. I'm some way into my 50th year now, and you can't mess around with injuries at that point. So before the end of this month, I'd like to squat 150. I'd like to at least do a clean 97 and maybe a 102. You'll have seen, if you watch my videos, an earlier one where I thought I might do a 107 before the end of the year, but I was doing better then, and I don't think I'll do that now. So here it is then. Let's see how I do at 87. You know, I've not been writing the numbers down today. Another change I've made is I try to go up faster. Today I started at 27, did 15, I did 8 at 47, then I just did 6 at 67 and 5 at 77. Once that would have been more like 10 at 47, 8 at 67 and 6 at 77. I'm sure all people who lift are always tidying things around the edges, trying a different approach. I'm not warming up as much. I also would have stopped at a 57 probably on the way up there. I tried to save a bit more for the main lifts. Okay. And before we go any further, because at this point half a kilo matters, here is Red Monkey. Now, I brought him out here partly to make sure I'm not the only really ugly thing in the shed today. And it doesn't look as bad on camera as I thought, but I've had one of those southern spots develop, really hideous, and it's about as bad as this thing when you squeeze a Red Monkey. Previously, very dry in here. It gets like that when the air's colder. Previously in the crossbow video, I used a picture of a Red Monkey to shoot with a crossbow. I wanted something to use to try to hit with swords, to shoot, see how much damage it will take, and this is apparently quite resilient. Excuse me. I printed off the Red Monkey because in 2024 you have to be very careful. I printed it off to use as a target for a crossbow. 10 years ago I would have torn a picture of a politician out of a newspaper and shot that. You do that now, if the wrong person happens to see it, you'll be in trouble. You'll have the police at your front door. I'm not suggesting you go to jail for it, but you'll be in trouble. They call all kinds of things death threats these days that aren't. Don't want to shoot any politicians. Might want to shoot a picture of a politician from time to time. Anyway, that resulted in me using the picture of Red Monkey, and now I have found the real thing, and I do realise it looks far, far more like an ape than a monkey. But we'll see in a minute if it makes a good target, because as I'm in the shed, not only does it distract from the ugliness of this growth on my brow, but I've got a crossbow over there, and I'll see what it does to the monkey. And it's going to be good to hit the swords and things like that. But now to the point. Let's see. If I do 3 here, I'll be happy. If I do 1, I'll be miserable. If I do 2, it's much the same. Let's see. I've handled 3 well enough that at one point I thought 4 was just around the corner. I think I'm probably going to stop at 2 here. Okay. Let me pause for a minute and actually change the weight so it's not a 77. I thought that was a bit easy. There goes back with 87 on the bar. I tend to pull my legs up like that because it feels like it stretches the lower back. And this is a slow process for me because it takes everything I've got to try to do a couple of them. And the mic's in the wrong place again. Okay, that's a bit messed up with the microphone there. It was going right on there, so I couldn't let it go all the way, but it's only half an inch's difference. I'm happy. I wouldn't have pushed 4, but I'm back to doing 3. And now, with my usual set, I'll do another couple of 3s And then I'll do dumbbell press, not too heavy, and pectoral clench on a very old machine, very old style. And that's it, apart from seeing how much damage the monkey can take with a crossbow. The monkey itself, or the idea of the monkey, comes from an old psychobilly song by a band, I think they're called the Milkshakes. It goes like this. Who killed your uncle, boy? That monkey! And it made me and friends laugh in years past, and I wanted to find something, rubber, plastic, wood, whatever it would be, to shoot, to use, to hit with swords, maybe to punch and to do other things with, drop weights on, hit with hammers, and I wanted it to be something resilient. This is rubber, it can be stretched a great deal, and I thought because of that it would take a lot of hits, but somebody did say that it's actually got something like sand inside. Don't know if that's true or not, so let's find out. I'd usually be able to hit it from here, probably won't because it's on camera. Right, well that was straight in the middle. That's not because I can shoot well with a crossbow, it's because I'm not even full 20 feet away, but it's cold outside and it's dark. One more and let's see what it's done to it. I think that's a couple of hits. And we'll see if it's going to stand up to the kind of abuse I hoped or not. If horrible chemical sand spills out all over the place, then I'll want to get it off my hands pretty fast. Oh yeah, oh, okay. I'm not touching that too closely. I thought it was a fairly unstable, very durable rubber, but nope. It's a bag that contains liquid and it's rather nasty. Well, that answers that question. But more important one is, can I just about handle a set of 3 at 87? And I can. Hopefully I'll do another 2 of those before moving on to other things. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Just wanted to update where I am with lifting right now. Now I'm well and truly into my 50s, and I'm not doing as well as I thought, but I'm going to keep trying and see what I can do before the end of the year. So you expect a few PR attempts in the next month. That's it then. I'm Mark. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Cheers.